Hi y'all. I'm going to do a little refresher today on scale numbers, what are known as scale degree numbers. Each note in a scale is said to have a degree in that scale, like the first note is the first degree. Let me turn on this amplifier, it'll be much easier to hear. Okay, once again, ignore the pop, pop, pop. The electric fence, it only does it when I'm at home. And I've learned to live with it. As I've told you before, more times than you probably want to count, a major scale is based on a pattern of 2 whole steps and a half step, and 3 whole steps and a half step, and every fret is a half step. So if we start on this C string here, then here would be my second note in my scale. Here would be my third. There would be my fourth, that's only a half step there. My fifth, my sixth, my seventh, and we call that the eighth. We also call it the octave. This scale is said to have 7 unique tones because this eighth and this open are the same note. Now, in terms of note names, since I'm playing on the C string, that's a C, a D, an E, an F, a G, an A, a B, and a C. I've done most of these lessons on the piano so that you can tell what notes don't have any available half step between them. There's no available half step between the E note and the F note, because there is no such note as an F flat or an E sharp. So like you start out on your C, that note there could be a C sharp or a D flat. It's the note between the C and the D. And there's a note between the D and the E. But there's no note between the E and the F, and if we were on the piano you'd see there's no white key there, or no black key there. Then there's a note between the F and the G, and between the G and the A, and between the A and the B, but then there's no note between the B and the C. So the 2 places on the whole major scale, regardless of what scale you're playing in, the 2 places where there is no note in between is there's no note in between E and F, and there's no note in between B and C. Okay, if I went over here, that guy's my E string. Okay, if I use that exact same pattern, I will get a scale in the key of E. Okay, but those notes have some sharp and flat names because that's an E. Okay, there's no note between E and F, so if I skip a fret to get a whole step, I'm inherently making an F sharp. And then there's a note between F and G, but I still have to make a whole step, so that's a G sharp. And then I need a half step, so that's an A. That's a B. Now, there is no such note as a B sharp, so that there would be a C, but we're not going to use it. We're going to make a whole step. So we have a C sharp, a D sharp, and an E. So you see how that works. If we were on a piano, I'd have used a lot of black keys to play that scale. On the guitar, you don't have to worry about white keys and black keys. You just worry about your pattern. Now, the reason that's important is because the first note in the scale is 1, whether it's a C note in a C scale, or an E note in an E scale, or a G note in a G scale, or a A note in an A scale. Whatever scale you're playing, the first note is 1. The second note is 2. The third note is 3. The fourth note is 4. If you're playing a major scale, it's only a half step from the third to the fourth. The fifth note, imaginatively enough, is 5, or the fifth, then 6, and then 7, and then 8. This is probably pretty obvious, but I'm talking about scale degree, and every time I demonstrate this scale pattern, I start on an open string and I go, okay, fine, so well and good. But I want to make sure you understand, just in case, it's probably obvious, but just in case it doesn't make sense, you can start on any fret and use that same pattern and it still works. Say I want to start on this D chord here and I want to count out my notes. It's still whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, and there's my D octave. So that pattern works on any string from any starting place. Just in case it wasn't obvious. Thank you.